sure you check out our new sponsor, the Health Blaze. All the information is in the description. Use the promo code above. Goodfellow One Boxing at 18% off of all their natural products from deodorant, pomade, toothpaste, and much, much more. And they have additional discounts on their website as well. That's thehealthblaze.com. Starting December 20th. That promo code is good for 18% off. We go. All right, there's been a debate that's been going around some of the social media, my sports groups I see on Facebook, man. Kawhi said that he feels that Paul George is his first elite NBA player that he's played with thus far. And then we also going to talk about Kawhi Leonard said he tried to get the San Antonio Spurs to trade for Paul George. So let's talk about it. We back, Goodfellow Sports TV. Appreciate everybody for checking in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. Won't miss another video. Appreciate the love, support, all right? And we can start off with the elite. I mean, he played with Tony Parker. He played with Manu Ginobili. He played with Tim Duncan, okay? Is he trying to say they was at the end of their careers and they wasn't, like, elite in their prime? That's interesting. I know you don't like Tony Parker. Ginobili, and can you even call Ginobili or Tony Parker elite? When we say elite, have they ever been up there for league MVP? That was league Tim Duncan on the side, right? Have they ever been up there for league MVP is the question. No. Parker was a finals MVP. Ginobili, I don't know if he got a finals MVP. Really good player. But Paul George was a finalist for the MVP. I felt had Paul George not got injured, he probably would have finished second to Giannis. Okay? That's the type of season he was having. But, hey, he fell off. He got injured. James Harden started cooking. Chris Paul got injured. Harden was cooking. Okay? Now, I don't think neither one of them has ever been considered as elite as Paul George. Even though Parker had that one NBA Finals where he killed in the paint. I can't remember. It was a while ago. But, them two, I never considered them elite players. Right? I mean, could you make a case for Ginobili being a top 10 player at one point in time? I can't really remember. I could be wrong. Tony Parker, no. No. So them two right then and there, I could say no. LaMarcus Aldridge, has he ever been considered elite? No. He another guy that got jealous of Damian Lillard because he was taking over Portland on some Stephon Marbury, KG, Kevin Garnett, for people who don't know. He got jealous because, Portland the Trailblazers was becoming Damian Lillard team, and he was a no-show in the playoffs. He went to San Antonio. He ran from Portland because he was tired of Damian Lillard getting the shine. That's what being said allegedly. Now, he went to San Antonio. He was never elite. He never been an elite. Elite is, for me, at least top 10. And I don't think LaMarcus Aldridge has been a top 10 player. Top 10 talent, yeah, you could say he can play some D, he can block some shots. He can shoot the rock. He can post up. He got all the talent in the world. He might look like Tim Duncan. He might score like Tim Duncan. He might defend like Tim Duncan, but he ain't Tim Duncan. All right? Tim Duncan might have been quiet and kind of looking passive, but Tim Duncan was a cold-blooded killer when it came down to it, and he was a tough one. So, then and there, we already write 3 players out that we said in the elite. Now, Tim Duncan, he was the reason they was in the finals, okay? That's a different type of thing. Maybe saying, well, Tim Duncan wasn't young and spry. Fuck that. Tim Duncan is legendary. Tim Duncan is always going to be elite. Okay? Tim Duncan is perhaps the greatest power forward, stat-wise. The greatest power forward. Now, is he the most talented I've seen? He up there between him and Karl Malone. I don't like Karl Malone, the person. Terrible person when you kind of look at his background and some of the things he did in his personal life. Terrible person. Okay? But a ball player, Malone was, he was the top 2, 3 power forward I've ever seen. And Kevin Garnett is one of my favorite players of all time. And Tim Duncan, always elite. You know what I'm saying? Kawhi played his role. He won the finals MVP. He locked down LeBron. But Tim Duncan was on the team. Tim Duncan is legendary. He's always an elite. And as long as Tim Duncan, you still getting to the finals, and Tim Duncan ain't playing like a Bill Walton with the Celtics role or something like that, he was still playing and still active. I'm not sure about his stats back then, but he still was a very good player from what I remember. And when Greg Popovich decided to take him off that first finals they played Miami in, and Popovich decided to take him off the floor when they was at the free throw line, and then, you know, obviously the ball got tipped back to Ray Allen for 3, that was a big mistake. So I'm calling BS on Kawhi Leonard saying that Paul George is the first elite player that he's played with. That's total malarkey, total BS. I say the elite player he played with was Tim Duncan. Now, I don't know if he forgot about Tim Duncan, or, you know, he didn't have a great relationship with Tim Duncan, or he was mad at Tim Duncan because maybe he was a part of that little veteran crew that tried to get him to stay with San Antonio and get the pressure from that Spurs fraternity. He got something to hold against him. But somebody that's a generational talent, that's number one in their position all time, nah, he's an elite talent. So I'm calling bullshit. And Paul George can hope to be as half of what Tim Duncan was in his career. Okay, he can hope to be the number 10 best power small forward of all time. You know, and right now he probably ain't. George Gervin, Dr. J, Larry Bird, LeBron James, the list goes on and on. Okay, now as far as Kawhi Leonard trying to get Paul George to the San Antonio Spurs, that means that Kawhi Leonard was more methodical than we thought he was. He been politicking, and he been, you know, kind of the silent mastermind behind the closed doors. LeBron James is a little loud with it because he got representatives that talk for him and talk to his NBA insiders. He leaked it to Ryan Windhorst. He used to leak it to Chris Broussard, and, you know, a lot of different guys. He used to leak his information through the media to get his point around. Well, LeBron doesn't want this guy fired, but his team does. Like, you think we stupid? You think we can't read between lines? Kawhi Leonard is kind of remind you of the story of Freeway Rick Ross. You know what? Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, yeah, he moved drugs, but he was low key. He didn't buy a bunch of diamonds. He didn't buy a bunch of shit. He was a bummy looking dude that ran a drug trafficking ring on the low key. Eventually, he still got caught, and eventually, all this coming to light from Kawhi because he's providing this information. But the Spurs should have listened to him and got him. But you know what the problem with the Spurs is? What really kind of hurt Kawhi? They wasn't gonna max Kawhi out, and Kawhi knew that. He knew that Spurs organization was like the New England Patriots for the NFL. They're a cheap organization, okay? They don't want to pay nobody. They didn't want to max him out. They didn't want to super max him out. He knew the writing was on the wall. He knew from talking to them on day to day, hey, go get Paul George, and we can get him here. They know they wasn't going to want to pay him top money and him top money. He seen the writing on the wall. He didn't want to be in San Antonio. Who do as a brother? He didn't want to play. He didn't want to play in a cheap organization. He didn't want to play in their system. He got tired of being dubbed a system player. He wanted to get out of there. And Popovich did him a favor that he didn't mean to do him. He sent him to Toronto. He proved that he wasn't a system player. And he still got his money with the Los Angeles Clippers and top money. And he got to go home in the market he wanted to go into. So really, Greg Popovich trying to get that brother to fail, he still succeeded. But at the same time, you know, he LeBron James, he just the low-key version. LeBron is like the flashy dealers from back in the day that wore jewelry, and, you know, he kind of was like Nicky Barnes and being flashy, big meats, being flashy, middle finger up to the feds, and, you know, Kawhi was low-key with it, stacking money, didn't let nobody know he had it. He moved a little different, and without him providing this information, you wouldn't know. You know, now as he come full circle, he always wanted to play with Paul George, but he did try to get Kyrie. He did try to get Durant. He did try to get Jimmy Butler, you know, and maybe he tried to get them first because they was free agents. And maybe he can finesse it that way. Like, I always wanted Paul George. You know, only reason I looked at Paul George first because then the Clippers would have had to give up assets. But when I found out the Clippers was willing to give up assets to get Paul George, oh, that's the number one guy I wanted to begin with. And that's how you finesse that to make Paul George feel comfortable. Okay, but for him, he do LeBron better than LeBron. He a better architect than LeBron is, and he move in silence. Had he never said none of this, never would have came out. But hey, you know, it is what it is. But I'm calling horseshit on that elite level player shit. He played with Tim Duncan. That's the greatest power forward of all time. If you don't believe so, go look at the stats and look at the impact and look why the Spurs tanked to get him. above the Boston Celtics. But don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to the email, intro, instrumental link, all those links in the description. You want to make a donation, that link's in the description. Or best donation you can make is share the video or buy something from our sponsor to help blaze the website. And the promo code Goodfellow1Box get 18% off is in the description. Lotion, soaps, foot soaps, bath bombs, 100% all natural products, much more. Check them out. Lemon toothpaste really good too. One time for the one time.